Hour 2, Jones and Keefe here on WEEI. I see you guys hanging out on the Bruins. We can get back to it. It's a Would You Rather Wednesday. Would You Rathers come your way at 11:30. We also have the hashtag Dork Minute, 11:45. You'll hear Mike Vrabel live at 1 o'clock here on Jones and Keefe. A reminder, football talk on WEEI presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local game live every Sunday all season long. Just visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. We've talked to him the last couple of Wednesdays. Taylor Kyles of CLNS joining us here again on Jones and Keefe. Taylor, how we doing this week?
Doing well. It's like we're going steady or something.
It kind of is. It's very, very flattering that you would say such a thing. Speaking of flattery, Mike Vrabel has identified you, and we were talking about this earlier today. Because Mike Vrabel seems like at least a gruff exterior. We saw some of the videos after the game. Maybe there's more friendliness there than I realized, but a gruff exterior anyway on Vrabel. He's highlighted your work a couple of different times this year. What's your reaction to Vrabel kind of singling that out?
Of course, I appreciate it, but honestly, I'm a very self-conscious person, so it kind of feels like when you were a kid and you had the magnifying glass on the ants. I didn't do this. There were some weird kids that did it, but it kind of feels like that. Like, it's nice, and I appreciate it, but I also kind of shrink in my seat a little bit. But, you know, I react very strangely to it. But, yes, it is very kind of him to, you know, show his version of some love.
Well, it's funny because we are the same way. We rarely get compliments, but when we do, we always wonder if the person's being sarcastic or what's the catch.
How dare you?
The catch
How
here?
dare you, Vrabel?
Honestly, after the first time, I just asked him a question about the run defense or the run game, and he was like, "Oh, we averaged 5 yards a carry, so I think we did all right." So I thought he was kind of ribbing me a little bit, but then it kind of grew its own legs. But yeah, you know, it's funny and it's all work. You know, it's I don't know. See, I'm already freaking out. Let's do some football stuff.
Let's just move on altogether. But the game on Sunday, a great game, obviously, by the Patriots, and a fourth quarter game-winning drive by Drake Maye, and he had been putting together a really good start to the season, but kind of taking it to the next level on Sunday night, specifically in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, man. The maturity that we've seen from this 23-year-old in his second year, especially in this Josh McDaniels offense, is pretty outstanding. Now, I will say, I thought that the way that Drake plays football, where I saw it on his UNC tape, and I even asked him last year, like, how do you read defenses? Are you looking at, you know, are you trying to say, what's this coverage? Are you looking at space? And he's like, yeah, for him, it's space and leverage, which is exactly what Josh McDaniels' offense is designed to exploit. That's why you have all the route adjustments. That's why some people think it's complicated, because it's designed to basically beat any kind of coverage you're getting. So obviously in the summer, you know, there were some hiccups. I was kind of wondering how long it would take for them to really mesh. But over the past 2-3 weeks, I think we've really seen that. And last night, not only did we see the growth in the offense, but also his ability to drive down the field in a critical moment at the end of the half. Not once, but twice. Remember, he did it at the end of the first half, and obviously to win the game with some insane throws. So that was one of the bigger question marks maybe I had so far with Drake Maye's game. Can he get that staple comeback drive? And he did it, and I really think Patriots fans, you know, I'm kind of hesitant sometimes to get excited about this kind of thing, but Patriots fans should be excited. They really did get a good one.
You're very thorough in your breakdown of the team. People can check it out at tkyles39 on Twitter. Again, Taylor Kyles from CLNS joining us here on WEEI. What have you seen progression-wise? Because I think we saw a different Stef Diggs on Sunday night in his return to Buffalo. What have you seen progression-wise and how the Patriots have used Stef Diggs more and more, the different ways they've used him over these last 5 weeks, last month plus?
Funny thing is, he's still been part of a rotation because they like to get Mac Hollins involved. They like to get Booty involved. Kyle Williams was even involved. Honestly, he was on the field for a few of Stefon Diggs' big catches. But I think the growth has been, one, the chemistry with Drake Maye, for him to feel comfortable going to Stefon Diggs when things break down. And Diggs, I mean, this is a guy who played with Josh Allen for years. And you can see that in how quickly, like on that deep scramble completion, his ability to quickly identify that he needed to get upfield, put a move on the defender, and then exploit space, and obviously making a couple of really impressive catches along the sideline. Just that veteran savvy that he's got. But I feel like the biggest progression that I've seen from Stefon Diggs is the yards after catch. the Patriots really outside of Demario Douglas and the running backs don't have any yak guys. And the fact that Stefon Diggs was able to put moves on guys, kind of shake free, and turn short completions into not just first downs, but even some explosive gains, that's huge because that takes pressure off of Drake Maye and the rest of the offense, because obviously Drake can sling it downfield with the best of them. But you'd also like for him to be able to throw a stick, 3 or 4 yards downfield and then have that turn into like a 15-yard gain. So obviously their chemistry is building. We saw that last week with the back shoulder, which was something that they had kind of struggled with in the summer, and I was wondering when they were going to find some rhythm there. But I think the usage is pretty similar to what it's been. Also coming off the ACL, I don't know if they want to have him out there for like 80% of snaps necessarily. But what they're doing right now is working, and it's been fun to watch, obviously.
What do you do with the running back position going forward? Obviously, Antonio Gibson now out for the season with a torn ACL. Ramondre Stevenson had yet another fumble, and Travion Henderson hasn't looked as explosive as he did back in the preseason. So, this week and going forward, what would you do in the backfield?
I think with the Ramondre Stevenson fumble situation, you gotta take it as it goes. Because at this point, it's almost like a quarterback situation where, if a quarterback throws, Drake throws 3 interceptions, you're not going to bench him, but you're going to have a stern talk to him and be like, hey, dude, this can't happen. This cannot be a regular thing. Unfortunately, with Ramondre, we know that it is. But it was one thing when you at least had Antonio Gibson, who we saw, he went in the game and really had some of the best runs that they had all night and really started getting things going. But with his very unfortunate injury, I don't know that you really can do much, but unless Ramondre fumbles like he did the other week twice in one game, then, you maybe have to take a snaps away and rely on Travion Henderson. But you're in a really tough spot right now where Travion, I think he still looks explosive, but I think the game is very fast for him right now, as I've already mentioned. That's still the case. In pass protection, you still can't rely on him consistently, which impacts his ability to see the field, even though they're still using him a decent amount. Like, they have a bunch of 2 running back packages where they try to push the ball downfield, and they'll have Mondre and then Travion in the backfield to help out the tackle. So he's been pretty good at that, but the pass pro is shoddy. So maybe you sign somebody off the street, but that's going to be someone who's new to the offense, who's going to have to learn the protections themselves, who has to get a feel for the offensive line. So that's not really an ideal situation either. And frankly, Ramondre is still their best running back, and it's not particularly close. So it's a really tough position that they're in, but I think it's still going to be Ramondre as that bell cow. And just by default, I think we are going to see more of Travion Henderson. Hopefully, with the increased reps and experience, that'll help him maybe acclimate to the game a little bit faster.
You mentioned the running backs, or Keefe asked you about the running backs. I'm looking at your report card. Running back was a C-, safety was a C+. Also in there, the O-line checked in at a C+. I saw a tweet. You highlighted Will Campbell and Jared Wilson. You said it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. What did you see out of the offensive line on Sunday night, and how do you feel about the direction they're heading on the O-line?
I thought the pass pro was pretty impressive, to be honest. Now, there were some losses, like the whole shot that Drake Maye made to Kayshon Boutte towards the end of the game when he got hit. That was one of the few times that a twist actually worked against that rookie left side. Jared Wilson was slow to pick a guy up, and then Drake Maye gets hit. But for the most part, I really thought they were impressive. There were a couple plays where the Bills used what's called a coffee house blitz, where you kind of pretend like you're going to drop or you're going to go somewhere else, and once that guy moves on thinking you're going to leave, you end up going right to that same gap. It's very hard to defend. I'm actually going to ask the offensive lineman today, what the hell are you supposed to do against that? They got beat on that, but that's a really tough thing that you don't see very often. But other than that, man, Jared Wilson is a tough dude to beat one-on-one. Sometimes, as a rookie, you'll make some mental mistakes, but his ability to recover, to just lock guys up, so many times you'd see him really get his hands on somebody, and they just didn't really move. And that was something you saw in his college tape that's absolutely translated. In those one-on-one situations, I think he's gotten significantly more comfortable. Also, with the stunts and the blitzes and things, but still a few hiccups. And then Will Campbell. His work against Joey Bosa was very impressive. There was one rep where Bosa actually beat him initially, and then Will Campbell showed why he was the 4th overall pick, because his ability to get back into position, the flexibility, and the quick feet where, some guys who are heavier, it's hard for them to get back into position, whereas Will, very, very athletic guy where, you can win initially, but you have to beat him clean for you to actually get to the quarterback. I saw him make a couple nice recoveries, and that's the biggest thing for these rookie offensive linemen. You're going to get beat, but can you recover? So I was very encouraged by their pass pro. Really, generally, the offensive line. There were some hiccups on the right side as well against the stunt, but I thought they were solid. I'm more worried about the run game. I'm starting to think that, it's just going to have to be to be determined on whether or not they're going to be a consistent ground attack, because that's where I think the rookie left side hurts you the most, because it's hard to know when there's post-snap movement, how you respond to that consistently. Different teams do different things and throw certain stuff at you. And also I think that Mike Nwenu, I think he's been improving, he's been inconsistent. And Garrett Bradbury, while he's impressed me in pass pro, has, been very boom or bust as a run blocker. And I'm just not sure how long that's going to take to fix. I've been talking about it for a few weeks, but I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall, and I don't see a lot of significant improvement. It's more just like baby steps each week. So the pass pro is awesome. It's a big reason I think that Drake Maye has been successful. But the run game, I really don't know how much you can rely on it to be consistently effective.
The defense has looked a lot better the last 2 weeks. Is that simply getting Christian Gonzalez back, or is there something else jumping out at you?
I think Christian Gonzalez is a big part of it, because a lot of the big plays they were giving up before he got back into the lineup was to Alex Austin, who was basically trying to replace him and was often put in very difficult situations. I also think that Robert Spillane has been much more consistent. I thought all of the linebackers were actually very good against the Bills, which I was honestly afraid of, because Jack Gibbons isn't the most athletic guy, but he's very instinctive. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I actually had one play on the flea flicker. I don't know how he even made that competitive, because the dude bit fully on the run and then turned his back, caught up to Curtis Samuel, and got his hand in there. That was pretty remarkable. Jelani Tavai in his first game back looked like the Jelani Tavai that I think we expected him to be last year and that he had been in the last couple of years of Belichick. That's a big part of it. And obviously this pass rush, man. Christian Barmore, man, he's getting closer to that 2023 form. I'm telling you, they were holding him. They were dragging him to the ground. They didn't know what the hell to do with Christian Barmore. He was dominant against the pass, had a couple of nice reps against the run as well. And he even freed up Milton Williams at times. And just all the depth they have on that defensive front of just quality veterans and the twists that they run sometimes. There's been a few times that Milton Williams, as much as he's paid and as effective as he is on his own, has really gotten sacks because of the guys around him. So it all starts with that defensive front where they poured all their money, but it also helps when the linebackers are consistent and they're, keying their gaps and making all the right decisions. And then you've got one of the best cornerback groups in the league. Also, shout out Marcus Jones for making a lot of plays on Sunday. So, this is a good defense. It may not have a ton of names that people are familiar with, but I think there's a lot of quality players on that, especially in the front, but on the back end as well.
Taylor Kyles, CLNS, joining us here on Jones and Keefe. Next four, Taylor, at New Orleans this weekend, at Tennessee, home against Cleveland, home against Atlanta. That leads into Tampa Bay on November 9th. These next four, what's your expectation? How many do they have to win?
I think they've got to win. Tampa's tough. Tampa's a team where if you lose...
I'm sorry, maybe I asked that poorly. Take Tampa out of it. These next four, New Orleans, Tennessee,
gotcha.
Cleveland, Atlanta, next month. How many do they have to win out of those four?
Okay, thank goodness. Yeah, the rest of those, you got to win those games, I think. I know it's tough. You're going to be on the road a lot. That's never easy. And you also just came off a Bills game that was probably very emotionally draining in a good way, but that's a primetime spot in a hostile environment. So I think this week against the Saints especially is going to be its own test where, wow, the Patriots have trap games again, where you just came off a big win. Can you stay locked in? And then I think they really should. The Saints have some good players, but I think this should be a pretty convincing win for them if they play even better version of what they did in Buffalo, because we know there were still some things that they had to clean up. But yeah, I think this is a slate of games where they should be able to clean house and continue to build some confidence, advance whatever they want to do schematically, and just get more chemistry within the group, because these are just not very good teams. These were teams I didn't think were going to be very good, and they've been worse than I expected. And that was why at the beginning of the season, I said 13 winnable games. People thought I was crazy, but I just didn't see a lot of intimidating teams on their schedule, considering you've got Mike Vrabel, who's been a coach of the year. You have Drake Maye, who's a budding young star. And you have Josh McDaniels, who I think is like one of the top 3 or 5 offensive coordinators and play callers in the NFL. So when you have that combination and a defense that's playing well, an offensive line that's kind of exceeding expectations, honestly, an offense, period, I think that's exceeding expectations. Yeah, you never want to sleep on any team because the NFL is the NFL, but if they continue to improve, they absolutely should win out.
All right, through 5 weeks, who's the best team in the AFC?
It's the Colts.
I mean, maybe.
I'm not watching a whole lot of other teams, to be honest.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean, it's got to be the Colts, right? Which is crazy to say.
I know. It is crazy. I mean, it's just
so
tough.
Indy's 4-1.
Well, they're 4-1.
Buffalo's
yeah.
4-1. Jacksonville is 4-1. Yeah, I don't know that I feel strongly about any of those
They
teams.
haven't played great teams, but they've blown out a bunch of teams. The Colts. Like, they haven't.
Okay.
They haven't, like, they've beaten the Dolphins, Broncos, who are good, Titans, and Raiders. And then they lost to the Rams. But, I mean, they are 4-1. I mean, the Jaguars are 4-1. I think it might still be the Bills, honestly. Like, I know they lost that one, but if I had to like project going forward as well as what they've done so far, and that's why the win for the Patriots is so good, because I think they did beat the best team in the conference.
Oh, yeah, especially if they get Ed Oliver back. That's going to be huge, because I think that game also would have gone differently if they had had their best defensive player. But yeah, I was thinking more record-wise, just how crazy it is that so many of the teams at the top of the AFC are teams that you weren't even thinking of even sniffing the playoffs. But yeah, no, I think you're probably right. It is the Bills, especially if they get a little bit healthier down the stretch.
Well, and it's wide open either way. If the Bills are the best team and you just beat them in primetime in Buffalo, AFC wide open. Taylor Kyles, check out his work, CLNS. Follow him on Twitter at TKyles39. Maybe hear Vrabel shout him out later today when you hear from Mike Vrabel at 1 o'clock. Taylor, we appreciate it. As always, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for the time, fellas.
All right, thank you.
Taylor Kyles joining us here on Jones and Keefe. Good, thorough breakdown on the Patriots. When we talk to him, always enjoy talking to him.